Abbiamo l'onore di avere molti parlamentari, molti addetti ai lavori e molti professori universitari assieme a dei rappresentanti di impresa.
The telecom sector is undergoing a difficult phase, is at crossroads. There is a growing business in terms of volume, but there is a declining business in terms of revenues, and that is one of the issues not only the sector has to deal with, also the regulator. How would the telecoms operator in future focus? The customer management. I think that's a real central part of a network operator, to manage a customer relation. In my view, Pandora box already starts to crack open. So what we can see is a tendency that some network operators start to run a kind of managed internet service. If you start running the internet in that way, the customer needs 4 different things need to be guaranteed. The freedom of choice for the consumer, minimum requirements in the general terms and conditions, full transparency to the customer, and the tools to check whether you get what you pay for.
The world has changed very dramatically. Now intelligence is migrating to the edges of the network, and competition is coming from a completely different world. It's coming from the over-the-tops, it's coming from services that these are providing in a completely different environment. Radical changes that this has introduced are not fully appreciated neither by the industry nor by the regulators, that in a sense are still linked to the traditional way of looking. The over-the-tops are companies that live in a very highly concentrated environment. There are 3-5 over-the-tops control the entire market. We are still the companies that create employment, and we have several million people business in Europe.
Abbiamo necessità di avere organi di regolazione che si muovano in piena autonomia dai governi e dalle forze politiche. In tutta Europa è una prerogativa riconosciuta.
Il Presidente Calabrò ha evocato un intervento del governo chiarificatore, una norma che dirimesse la controversia. Ora, non so se il governo italiano farà una norma di questo tipo.
Io credo che le autorità, la mia, l'autorità di l'Agicom, l'antitrust, abbiano una radice europea. Devono assicurare l'Unione Europea della coerenza della normazione interna alle direttive di armonizzazione e alle normative europee.
Qui il Parlamento italiano, che è chiamato e tirato per la giacca dagli uni e dagli altri per intervenire molto di più di quello che fino ad oggi ha fatto il Parlamento nazionale.
Il Parlamento non può ordinare ad un regolatore indipendente cosa deve fare, entro quanto tempo e come lo deve fare, perché questo rientra nelle competenze del regolatore. È il regolatore che deve decidere se va fatto un'analisi di mercato, quando, come, secondo quale.
Ci sono stati altri casi in cui noi siamo stati chiamati a intervenire e dove non siamo mai assolutamente intervenuti su materie chiara attività di regolazione da parte di Acebal.
15 years ago, nobody of us would have think about so big a power from an independent authority. The government has not yet any power. That the authority is deciding everything. More independence, less politics and less parties in the authorities, but more relations between Parliament and authorities.
So I think that there is a dramatization of things that really don't need to be dramatic because they can be solved, and instead there is a real problem, the education of using the very high speed internet, the 100 megabit. That's why the Commission is wisdom. They decided there are 2 objectives, one in 2013 and one in 2020 think that education will come and permit to use all this very high speed.
Probably the satellite community did a mistake that was not very able to communicate all the value of the satellite. But for instance, in Italy, you can close in 1 second digital divide by satellite.
Can we still work with the European Commission, with the Parliament, with the Council, making legislation in years and years of time? It's an opportunity for Europe, or are we losing in terms of competition with other regions of the world?
Intermodal competition turned out to be much, much more effective than intramodal competition. I think fiber needs to get closer to the end customer. So these are my comments.